Hello, you're watching France24 now for our look at the international papers. And scouring madly for us is France24's Hélène Papert. Thanks for joining us, Hélène.
Good morning.
Of course, no surprising that Burma is dominating the international headlines.
Right, Burma is still dominating the international headlines. The death of a Japanese journalist trying to show the real picture of Burma is sending waves of shock. You can look at the front page of The Guardian, for instance. Deaths on the street of Burma. The military regime hits back. Also headlining The Independent. You've got these two rather explicit and terrifying pictures of the journalist just after being shot.
This is the Japanese journalist.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Arms up in the air. The second one shows the military just leaving him behind. So Kenji Nagai died of his wounds. He was callously gunned down, says Claire Soares in The Independent. He's a victim of the repressive junta. Meanwhile, on the second page of The Independent, there's another very telling picture of a man facing the junta. Troops apparently told him that he had 10 minutes to get off the streets or he'd face being shot. So there's a feeling that the crackdown is strong, that repression is strong, and that's what the papers are talking about. Hundreds, if not thousands, of monks have been arrested, and there is a report of Rosalind Russell in Rangoon who's saying that she doesn't know how long these protests are going to last. She doesn't know if they can maintain themselves if the monks aren't as present as they were. So we're going to be having to look at that in the next couple of days. Finally, L'Orient Le Jour in the Lebanese paper, they have an interesting editorial. The Czech Republic President Václav Havel writes about the international community's response to Burma, and he says that it's an outrage that the international community can't respond more clearly, that they don't know what to do with the sanctions, and that everybody's a bit wish-washy. And he says, with all the work that we do together and with the UN General Assembly, it's amazing that nobody can come to a consensus, and he's saying that it's time to do something about what's happening in Burma.
Indeed, and elsewhere, the US giving the world's polluters the hard word on climate change, as we were reporting earlier. How's that going down?
Well, that's another big issue that's being discussed at the UN General Assembly, and there's a left-wing French paper article, Libération. America talks a lot but does little, and that's the feeling that we're getting with this climate change debate that's been going on. President Bush still refuses to sign the Kyoto Protocol. Basically, the United States doesn't want to sign any environmental treaty that's going to force them into anything, and that's what a lot of the papers are picking up on. And they say, well, what are we going to do next? The International Herald Tribune also picks up on that. The UN Secretary General himself writes an editorial where he slams his fist down saying it's time for people to come to a consensus on the environment. And there is the Arab press Al Hayat, which also has an interesting caricature there that says that no wonder the UN General Assembly can't come to any type of conclusion because they're thinking about so many things at the same time. How could they possibly know what steps to take next?
And just briefly, President Sarkozy has been getting some interesting mail.
Yeah, very quickly. President Sarkozy apparently came out of a Council of Ministers meeting with a love letter under his arms, and so that was picked up by a magazine called Choc, and they were going to publish this article, but it's been pulled out of the press, and the Spanish paper El País is wondering why. They're wondering if it's because the Choc is mostly held by one of Sarkozy's best friends, and does that mean that the freedom of the press is breached? Sarkozy has already been under the limelight for things like that, so we don't really know what this love letter is about. However, the Parisien does say that, hey, this love letter might not be everything that everybody's talking about. It might just be a letter written to Cecilia Sarkozy by one of her friends.
Thanks, Hélène. We'll have to leave it there. That's it for now. Do stay with us here on France24.